Alright, we're back. Let's get ourselves comfortable. Right, it's not raining anymore, so we don't need that. Alright. So, where were we? Yeah, that's where we were. Okay, so we're talking about, oh crikey. I want to go the other way because I want the garage, and I completely forgot about that. Alright. We're being given a pass, so let's go. So, as per normal, when we're going to get a garage, unhook the trailer because I don't want the trailer to get lost, the load to get lost in the confusion. Alright, yes, we want to buy this garage. Right, let's reverse. Pick up our load. Ooh. Alright, that's our load. Okay, let's quickly check out the map. Alright. Yeah, so we wanted to get the discoverables, so I'm going to do a short left, and then right. Get that one, and then a left, get that one, and then we'll go back on track. Alright, so we're not going to discover the whole of Hamburg, we can do that at another time. But I want we need the recruitment agencies. We came in here to get repaired, so that's going to be... Whoa! That was quite scary. That must be what it's like when I'm driving around corners for other road users. So, Europe, we were talking about the benefits of Europe. So, we talked about market fairness. Right, let's talk about worker safety. If you own a business, you might not give a crap about worker safety, but a lot of workers do. And there are a lot of workers in the United Kingdom that are healthy, well employed and alive, thanks directly to the EU. Health and safety at work laws, standards for things like fire extinguishers and training for the use of fire extinguishers. There is safety of workplaces is legislated by the EU. That might not necessarily be legislated by a government that's got a more direct and more closely connected electorate. So, what's this? And that's our recruitment agency. That's good. Right, let's check the map out, see what's what. This is quite quiet. We'll take a right and then we'll get back on track. we can hustle around Hamburg when we actually get a load in Hamburg. So what else? I mean, 4 weeks paid holiday a year and a 48-hour working week, the anti-discrimination law, guaranteed rights for agency workers, guaranteed... Ooh, am I going to go? Yeah, I'm going to go. Guaranteed rights for worker consultation. All of these protections exist because of the EU. They would be stripped away by a Tory government that that thinks of business rights before government rights, before worker rights. You know, anyone who thinks that the Tories wouldn't strike down a bunch of laws that would help corporate sponsors is living in la cuckoo land. So there are plenty of reasons to be glad that we're in the EU. What else have we got? Sorry, I'm travelling a little bit slowly. So, let's get a bit more personal to you. Right, imagine you've gone to France or to Germany. Very recently, the EU forced through the scrapping of roaming charges in Europe. When you use your mobile phone in Europe, the phone calls and text messages and data cost exactly what it would cost in the United Kingdom. What this will do is it will force mobile companies to become more closely aligned. It will force a kind of a price war where they've got to offer the same thing. You know, they'll be fighting over each other, particularly with a greater Europe available to you, and frankly, they will get more money because people will be making phone calls in Europe. You know, EU citizens can use their phones at the same cost. I mean, this just doesn't benefit Britain; this benefits everyone. So, yeah, don't think for a second that this is British business is being penalised. All mobile. Oh, okay, that wasn't pleasant. All businesses. All mobile companies providing mobile services in mainland Europe, when their customers come to Britain, have to provide the same thing. Everybody's getting charged the same amount of money. I mean, you think about it. When you go abroad, sometimes you find yourself at the mercy of a massive phone bill. It's particularly galling when the distance between Paris and Edinburgh is comparable, but the price that you pay for using your phone is horrifying. Oh, the common mobile phone charger. Do you remember the days when every time you got a new phone, you got a new phone charger, and you got a top drawer full of bloody phone chargers that you'll never use, but you're for some reason reluctant to bin? That's not happening anymore. You'll have actually started noticing that almost all, apart from Apple, for some reason Apple seem to think they're excluded from this, but almost all other phone companies are offering, oh crikey, it was very low speed there, are offering a mini USB as its charging socket. So you can use any mini USB charger, even if it wasn't intended for a mobile phone. You can use any mini USB cable to full USB cable, so you can charge your mobile phone from your computer. Now, the reason I think that Apple get away with it is because they already offer A2 USB socket at the end. I mean, their phone, the plug that you get with your phone, the cable that plugs into your phone plugs into the charger unit on with a USB socket directly into the plug. So I think they're claiming that they be excluded from the common the common mobile phone chargers plug for that reason. Ooh, I see an unexplored. I see an unexplored rest stop. Actually, I need some fuel. I'm going to stop for fuel. This is going to be a long journey, and this thing sucks fuel. Okay. Global free trade. We talked about European free trade, but global free trade is actually helped by membership to the EU. So £766 for 656.16 litres. Right. The EU, it's claiming that it prevents us from developing trade agreements with the likes of India, but the fact is EU is signing a trade agreement with India, which we could be a part of, and we get no further benefit from being former colonists of that country than we do from being part of a larger EU. In fact, we probably get a better deal out of it, to be quite frank. The EU is also in negotiating free trade agreements with Brazil, the US, Canada, and other countries, and China's made it clear that it would also like to have a trade agreement with the EU. China, the country with the single biggest population, the country with the fastest growing middle class in the world, wants to have a trade agreement with Europe. How can that not benefit the United Kingdom? How can it not? We have an enormous number of, as a member of the EU, we have access to an enormous number of trade agreements, which are already in place. With a large, the EU is the world's largest trading bloc, and I crashed into someone because I was reading. This is 20. Oh my God, 20%. Okay, I kind of have to be careful now. I'm kind of rehashing ground there that I've already gone over. It's a no-brainer to be part of Europe. I honestly don't understand why anybody would think that it's a bad idea. I don't get it. Having access to global trade agreements that would gives access to things like pharmaceuticals, so the NHS could spend less money on drugs. No-brainer. I mean, why are these? Why are we even thinking about it? Why are we discussing? Nigel Farage and his band of morons are a one-issue party, and it's not a particularly well thought-out issue. In fact, it's an incredibly badly thought-out issue that's full of holes that would do nothing but tremendous harm to the United Kingdom. Yeah, UKIPs are a bunch of idiots. They're like gentlemen amateurs. There was a time when gentlemen amateurs could do a great many things and do them well, and the world would be fine. But we've moved into an era of professionalism, and while most politicians are not professional, at least they're a tad more professional than Farage. They just don't come across as a very well thought out party. They're as pointless as the Green Party. I admire the Green Party for their motives, but the trouble is they've got one issue, and that is the environment. And if you ask them, every single one of their responses to every other issue is always tied into environment. Now, I don't get me wrong. I understand the environment's important, and that we need to start protecting the environment. But there are times when there is an issue for which there is no answer that's an environmental one, and when those ones come up, when those issues come up, they're kind of like a rabbit in the headlight. Education is a particular one. Beyond the idea that they should be teaching people about the environment, they haven't got a specific plan for education. I wish they did. I really wish they did. But they appear to not have a clue what they're doing. And it's too important an issue. I mean, Europe, being a member of Europe, being part of that European family is too important an issue to just sweep under the carpet. Oh, crap. I am not feeling very well today, and I think that my lack of concentration is possibly inflicting itself on the load. It might be. I think I'm up to 21% damage now. No, I'm still 20%. Oh dear. Well, we've got a full tank. We have probably 1 or 2 rest stops. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do that. So 8 hours until our next rest. We've got 53 hours in which to make this delivery. We're probably going to need to make 2 more rest stops. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of steam on the whole European issue. I mean, the Conservative Party are notoriously schizophrenic when it comes to Europe. I think those in the senior leadership normally tend towards Europe, which is fine, thank goodness, because sadly the Tory Party are the party in charge at the moment. But the more extremist backbenchers in the Tory Party are, some of them can be rabidly anti-Europe, and all it takes is one innocuous but daft piece of legislation, and they're back on their high horse. It's yeah. I don't know. But when I'm back in the UK periodically, just for shits and giggles, I'll watch the TV channel that relates to things like Question Time, Prime Minister's Question Time, and on a Wednesday afternoon, the House gets to question the Prime Minister. It's the one time you can guarantee the Prime Minister's in the House, because I can assure you he's not in the House most of the time. And by the House I mean the House of Commons, the chamber where the MPs sit. I was actually astonished to realise that there are only just over 400 seats, but there are over 600 MPs, which means that, say for instance, at Prime Minister's Questions Time, when you want everyone present, not everyone can be. This is one of the reasons why, when there's a vote, they don't do it in the House. They go into they file into a chamber and cast a vote. I think it's a bit ridiculous. I think the entire, I think all of the MPs should be able to sit in Parliament. We've got a relative. I mean, it's unlikely to happen in the near future because we've got a relatively new Parliament building. Oh, I knew that one was going to happen. It was bombed during World War II and then rebuilt. So the Parliament building you're sat in is not the Parliament building that, say, for instance, Churchill started his career as Prime Minister in, or David Lloyd George was in, or Benjamin Disraeli. It's a different Parliament building. It's beautiful. I think it's beautiful, but it's too small. It needs to be larger. A larger Parliament building would allow for more people to visit. It will also allow for us to it would allow us to join the 21st century. It would allow us to install equipment that would allow the ministers to vote immediately rather than going through an antiquated system, you know, in a queue in rooms. You could get answers to votes immediately. But there we go. Yes, my hope is that the electorate has realised that the Tory party are a bunch of thieving crooks, stupid ones as well, given the debacle was the privatisation of Royal Mail. Bloody morons. They set a price for it, and then within 2 days that price more than quadrupled. It was ridiculous. It was the British taxpayer has long funded the Royal Mail, and now it's in private hands. It's a private enterprise, and it'll be run for profit. And it won't be the same institution, and the British taxpayers paid for the infrastructure, which will now be selectively dismantled. And the sad thing is that it would be horrendously expensive to return it to the people. But that's what needs to be done. The Royal Mail needs to be returned to the people, because we need to be able to offer the same service whether you live in a city of 8 million people or a village of 20. That's why I was so... everything I've learned about the dismantling of the British railway network has made me angry. Dr. Beeching's dismantling of that network was a service that was provided to the people of the United Kingdom, paid for already by themselves. It didn't matter whether 2 people sat on the train or the damn thing was packed. And we now live with a set of circumstances where a rail operator will only put a certain number of carriages because they have to pay per carriage. So, as long as people can get on the train, they don't care whether they're sat or stood. No matter how dangerous it is, no matter how comfortable it is, no matter how expensive it is. Privatisation is a fetish that the Tories have that needs to be derailed at every available opportunity. There are certain things for which there's no justification for them being a part of the public purse, but we should never have dismantled our control of the telecommunications network. We should never have dismantled our control of the mail network. We should never ever dismantle our control of the health network. And we shouldn't have privatised the railways. Now, there was a case for why it was difficult for it to run efficiently. It was strangled by the unions. That strangle has been released. They don't need the level of staffing that they had, and provided that it's managed effectively, and by managed effectively I don't mean managed by 500,000 managers, I mean managed so that it's not overstaffed. But not understaffed. Okay, so we're leaving Germany and we're entering the Netherlands. So we're now heading south through the Netherlands, through Belgium, into France. So we've taken a huge chunk out of this journey. We are honing in on £9 million, which I still find quite bizarre. Oh, I'm a liberal at heart and by vote, although I'm struggling to justify my loyalty to the Liberal Party, given that they joined forces with the Conservative Party. Now, I know a lot of people said if they hadn't, then we would have had to have had another election. I would have been fine with another election, frankly. Wouldn't have bothered me in the least. I think had the Liberals sided with neither party, we wouldn't be suffering any more or less than we were at the time. And frankly, the Conservatives' plan is a stupid one. It is a stupid one. They're talking about government budgets as if they were household budgets, and the two things are so completely and unutterably different that it's the most juvenile, it's the most infantile comparison it's possible to make. You can have quite a healthy economy without having a balanced budget. It doesn't have to be balanced. It doesn't have to be. The British pound sterling is quite a healthy currency and doesn't need the protection of a balanced budget. It can cope without. We have a robust currency exchange system. We have a financial we have financial institutions that, given as crooked as financial institutions can be, these ones aren't too bad. I mean, they're still monstrously crooked, and they still ludicrously overpay people for work that could frankly be done by monkeys. And I'm talking about market speculation. They're gamblers, and they're constantly getting it wrong, and they're constantly getting lucky. And why they deserve multi-million-pound bonuses is beyond me. But then, given my passion of football, you could say the same. You could argue against me about footballers, why footballers paid so much. At least footballers don't bring an economy down like bankers. Still cannot understand to this day why no one has been prosecuted for what happened in 2008 anywhere in the world, apart from, I think, one person. It still staggers me. I don't understand that. Oh, more income. Hey, Osbeth. Thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing more cash in. It's good. Alright, we are about to leave the Netherlands, and we're about to enter Belgium. Ugh, I grazed the inside of that bloody truck. Are we at 21% yet? No, we're not at 21. Good. Alright. In a little while we might have to take a rest. And that's fine. We only have another 14 hours of this journey. It's a lot, but given that our journey was over 50 hours, we have taken a huge chunk out of it. I will be quite relieved because I have driven particularly badly on this journey, and so I'll be relieved to hand over the cargo with no more than 20% damage. I would like it to have been 0%, but as soon as I hit those bollards on the side of the road while undertaking on the hard shoulder, I knew that wasn't going to happen. And I've kind of been a bit sort of careless ever since, because I've done quite a bit of damage to the load and the truck as a result of that, which didn't come out straight away. Oh, more money for 4,200 from Enzo. While I was waiting for the footage to download, I quickly checked out the drivers. All of them seem to be making money on me for me on a daily basis. 3 zeros everywhere, apart from The Helsinki one, you can't forgive those. Those guys have only just started, so they're only just on at the beginning of their career. I always get a bit twitchy when I go under a bridge, that the slip roads either side of it are going to cause way too fast. Are going to cause me problems with traffic shooting out of it without stopping. There you go. We are making good time though. We're rattling along. Look at the beautiful clouds in the background. Do you know, it's only when I get a nice straight road like this that I get to appreciate the landscape. Obviously, the further away it is, the more beautiful it looks, because the less detail I have to put into it. But I did try and download a mod which improves the graphics. It replaces some of the things within the game, foliage and so forth, with replacement items that don't take up as much power from the computer. But I couldn't download it. The website from which it was going to come wasn't functioning. It wasn't letting me download the file. I just saw the train, which told me that the barriers were down, which told me I needed to come to a halt because there's no way I could get past that. So, let's get myself a sip of coffee. There we go, right. Oh. I am a little tired, and as I said, I'm not particularly well. I've got a thundering headache, and my stomach's feeling a little bit uncomfortable, which is a bit of a distraction. These are obviously excuses, not ones that excuse the poor driving, but they do explain why I am driving poorly. So, of course, with ProMods having a hand in in altering almost every part of the map now, it's becoming increasingly difficult to tell what's been put where by whom. They're altering parts of the map that SCS have built to add things to them. I've no objection to them doing that. They made a beautiful map in Scandinavia, and they're responsible for some much needed improvements to Amsterdam and Rotterdam. But and obviously they've needed to tailor stuff for their huge part of France that they're adding. So that's fine. But it's encouraging. So I mean, it's worrying when stuff happens to the part of the map that they built from scratch in Scandinavia. It's worrying that those little errors will start to creep into the SCS part of the map. And where we can get angry at SCS and we can demand that they fix it, and we can scream at them because we gave them cash, we can't with ProMods. These guys are volunteering in their own time, and they're doing it for almost no money. They're doing it for donations. And so you can't quite get as angry with them as you could with someone that you've paid cash to. Hey, it's that beautiful sailing boat again. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that fantastic? It's gorgeous. But it's heartening to learn that they are already at a point where they can start adding cities in Spain. I understand that they've got Bilbao ready, and that they've got a road connecting France to Spain already, which is going to be a part of the 0.70 update, probably a couple of months from now. that the guys that were all sort of making that massive push to get the extra cities in France ready, and also to get the compliance with of the map with SCS's 1.9 update ready. They've all returned to their own individual projects. Oh crap, this is going to be painful. 1% of damage to the truck, 21%. I am nearly at a quarter of damage. This is not good. Alright, we've got a rest stop coming up, so I need to double check the map to see how far away we are from another rest stop to see whether I should. Yeah, I kind of have to, because there isn't one coming up. We've got plenty of time. I've got 47 hours to make this delivery. And 12 hours should do it, so I've got bags of time. Alright, let's top up. We probably don't really need to, because we topped up at the beginning of this drive, a little while ago, £257 for 214 litres, so let's go and pop it in a rest spot. Alright, it's night time, which is not good. That's okay. It's night time in real life too. For the more eagle-eyed of you will realise that it's a little bit darker for this part of the journey than it was for the first two parts of the journey, and that's because there's a couple of hours have passed between finishing since my last part of the journey and this part of the journey. Since I downloaded the footage, it's been a couple of hours. So it's that's how it is. Oop, George has made me some money. We're up to 8.8, so we're a whisker from 9 million. Obviously, we're going to chuck a load of cash at Lorient. 144,000 to buy the 3-berth, and another 80,000 to upgrade it to 5. So we've got a petrol station in Lorient. I want a petrol station in every town centre, because that's something that the vanilla game and the Going East DLC don't offer. It should be pointed out that ProMods have periodically placed a petrol station in town, but not every town that they've touched has one, so it's nice to have a petrol station, even if I have no intention of putting drivers in Lorient. Alright, we've got a turn coming up. Slow down for that. One thing I didn't really think to make the most of is that, given the game we're playing, I'm probably... oh dear, we just knocked the road sign down. I don't think it helps me that this is a particularly large and wide load, and I'm clearly not that careful a driver. Certainly not with a keyboard. Oh, excuse me. My body wanted to sneeze there, and I don't like sneezing on video. Oh, Guido's leveled up. That means Guido's probably given us some cash, and I didn't see the ticker tape because I was concentrating on the ramp. I didn't see the ticker that with his contribution to the Imperial funds. So Yeah, it's particularly relevant given that we're playing a game where you are traversing Europe, conducting business, earning money. It would be sad were the game to not match reality, i.e. you couldn't travel freely from the UK without paying an import tariff. Yes, that comparison, that is amazing. Alright, one thing that I want to talk about, briefly mention, today in New Zealand, right now as I'm sat behind this laptop recording this, it's actually the 15th of April. It won't be the 15th of April, I think it'll be late May, early June by the time this goes onto YouTube. But today on the 15th of April is a full moon, and it's a lunar eclipse, and it's when the moon blocks the sun out briefly, and the moon itself turns red. But we won't see it in New Zealand. It's going to be mostly visible in Asia and the Americas. Europe won't see it at all. But it is happening. And the other thing I want to mention is today, April the 15th, is the actual day, the date. 25 years ago, on April the 15th, 1989, 7 minutes into an FA Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest at Sheffield Wednesday's ground in Hillsborough, 96 people lost their lives. 96 people went to watch a football match and didn't come home. At the weekend, the Football Association made the very gracious decision to start every football match 7 minutes late to mark the time at which the game was stopped in Hillsborough all those years ago. Every club paid some tribute one way or the other to the event. Obviously, there's nothing to be said about the event itself at the moment because it's the subject of a serious inquiry. Last year, the Prime Minister stood up in the House of Commons and totally exonerated all of the Liverpool fans who for 25 years have been subject to the suspicion that they were in some way responsible for these events. It's become clear that the South Yorkshire police who were responsible for policing the event were, for the most part, responsible for almost all of the poor decision making of the day that didn't just cost the lives of the people that were crushed in and died in the stand itself, but also for the loss of life later on after they made the decision that after a certain amount of time everyone should be considered dead. And this is a nonsense. People died that didn't need to die because they were refused medical attention, because the police moved to the phase of counting the dead bodies rather than trying to determine whether people were still alive or not. Then the West Midlands Police Force also share a measure of guilt in that they were responsible for an inquiry into the behaviour of the Yorkshire police at the match, and they colluded with the Yorkshire police in a significant hatchet job, either ignoring testimony, rewriting testimony, or ignoring witnesses. And in many ways making a determined effort to ensure that the Liverpool fans were still the ones to blame. It didn't help that at the time of the disaster we had a Prime Minister that absolutely loathed and detested football. In fact, I wouldn't be at all surprised if she detested sport, but given that she comes from a nation that is enthusiastic about sport and that won the World Cup only 10 years after she started, was it 10 years, maybe 6 years after she became an MP. It was very difficult for her not to involve sport, but I would be willing to bet that if she could have got rid of the sports minister, she would have got rid of the sports minister. I just, oh, look at these beautiful little like fishing villages. Oh, you scumbag, you overtake me and then you pull to a halt. What is the matter with you? That is out of order. Alright, when I've got a couple of minutes and then I've got to find a spot at the side of the road to pull over and download the... Oh, I cannot wait for a video capture device so I don't have to keep doing this. I could have finished this journey by now. Long ago, in fact, an hour ago, had I not been restricted by the amount of footage that I can record in one go. Right, we've got the national speed limit again, and what's the betting that in a couple of minutes the person that pulled in front of us and slammed the anchors on will be in front of us again. There he goes, just as I thought. Now, hopefully, he won't pull up. He'll speed off. Oh, I am looking forward to plugging my steering wheel in. I'm not going to give up on this. You're kidding me. He's done it again. Pulled in front of me and then pulled the anchors on. The game is trolling me. It's trying to make I tell you what it is doing. It's providing a challenge, that's for sure. Alright. We are going to take a left here in a minute. Right, so I need to find a spot to pull over, which is not going to be in town. And it's not going to be one of these side roads that doesn't have a... What I need is a hard shoulder to pull over onto. So I can pause the game and upload my footage. And am I going to get that? Possibly not. Ooh, maybe. Here we are. Alright. Okay. Let's use the F key. Handbrake on. F key to put my hazards on. Right. I'm going to upload the footage now. I will be back for you in the blink of an eye. Okay. We're back and we're being honked. Oop. So, this is very much later after I recorded the previous bits. This is in fact the next day. It's now the 16th of April. In New Zealand, it's 2 in the morning in the UK where I'm from. But ooh, easy. Ugh. I am gonna suck at doing this when I'm trying to do this as a stream. So I've been doing a little bit more research about the EU, finding out what will and will hurt the UK. I'm sorry if you're outside the UK and this is a boring subject, or if you're inside the UK and you still find it a boring subject. I've got a number of questions that were raised about why it's good, and I've got rebuttals to those. Some of them I've already discussed, but we'll go through them anyway because, well, it can't hurt. So, to stay or to go, And this is relevant because the UK is having a referendum at some point regarding this. This is one of Cameron's dreams. I think it's not a dream, sorry. It's a party dream. I think Cameron would prefer to stay in the EU, but there are some geriatric, senile members of his party, which is saying something, considering that the majority of the Tory party is senile and geriatric, certainly in its outlook and ideas. We got a toll booth. That's going to cost us. Oh no, we're just picking up the tickets. So, are there any viable options for Britain leaving the EU? All right, now, pro-Euro skeptics say we could negotiate an amicable divorce, but retain strong trading links, and they point at Norway and Switzerland as the ideal for this model. They would rather negotiate with the EU on their own terms rather than as part of the EU, as a smaller voice inside than a larger voice outside. Now, I can see why that might seem like a good idea, but it's a pipe dream. France and Germany will never allow the UK to have amicable trade agreements. Will never allow us to have what the BBC's website called a pick and mix approach to the Euroblock's rules and regulations. And when we're dealing with the Eurozone, we're trading with them, the businesses that are doing so are still having to trade under those rules and restrictions, so you're still having to abide by them, but you're abiding by them from outside without any hand in their making, without any hand in crafting them. No influence over how they're formed, no influence in the discussions about what rules need to be enforced and what rules need to be got rid of, what needs to be strengthened, what needs to be relaxed. No control whatsoever. Now, I don't normally agree with David Cameron, but here's what he said. If we weren't in helping them with the rules, they would be written without us. The biggest supporter of open markets and free trade, and we wouldn't like the outcome. That was in a speech last year. Now, I don't like to agree with David Cameron in general, but as a liberal, when I see a good idea or I see a good argument, it doesn't matter where it came from, as long as it's a good argument or a good reason or a good idea. If Britain went for a clean break with the EU, its exports would be subject to EU export tariffs and would still have to meet, as I just said, those EU production standards. We're still going to have to meet those standards. We're still going to have to pay to the cost of meeting those standards if we're wanting to trade with one of the largest economic blocs in the world. So, at the moment, and we want to be part of one of those that large economic bloc when it has to then deal with China and India and the US. Remember, and it should be pointed out that the EU, lots of people within the US have stated that they believe it's essential for the United Kingdom to remain a part of the EU. The single largest English-speaking market in the world wants us to remain in the EU for financial, now it costs us £65 billion a year to be a member, an EU member. That sounds like a lot of money, but we get a lot of that back. We get rebates here and there. Our farmers and fishermen get subsidies, businesses get subsidies. We get a lot from it. I mentioned there's the subsidy, the structural fund earlier in this podcast. The podcast? Oh God, I've got to stop calling this a podcast. It's not a podcast. I'm not doing a podcast. Nothing against podcasts. I love them. I watch and listen to loads of them. £21. Right, what would be the impact on British jobs? Millions of jobs could be lost as global manufacturers move to lower-cost EU countries. Britain's large foreign-owned car industry would shift into the UN. Sectors linked to the EU membership, such as aerospace, would also suffer. This is something that I didn't think of yesterday. Airbus has a huge manufacturing plant in Bristol, where they build things like wings. Rolls-Royce would potentially lose its ability to do business with Airbus if they moved to France or Germany, because the import tariff on the engines would price the Rolls-Royce engines out of the market. They wouldn't be able. Airbus would go for cheaper engines. They'd possibly go with an American engine like a Pratt & Whitney. And although it has to be said that airlines get to choose what engine they want. They do get to select an engine they want. So, for instance, an Airbus that's being predominantly used in the US market will probably go with a Pratt & Whitney engine, because the parts there will be more readily accessible and probably cheaper, whereas a European might go with Rolls-Royce because the Rolls-Royce are in the UK. But if Rolls-Royce are not building engines for Airbus because it's too expensive for Airbus to fit a Rolls-Royce engine in because of export tariffs, and we would be frozen out. We have a fractious enough relationship with mainland Europe as it is, and while we're on the inside, without being on the outside, and then being subject to all sorts of horrendous retaliatory behaviour, which would occur. That's a very interesting golden colour for that Volvo. Right, we're going to undertake this idiot. Oh no, off. Okay. Well, actually, he's sped up, so. So that's another reason. Millions of jobs lost as manufacturers move out of the country. So, Britons would need to get a visa to live and work in mainland Europe. They don't at the moment. As an EU citizen, you're entitled to get a job without the necessary fuss of getting a visa. It's very, very beneficial to the United Kingdom that we have UK citizens around the world presenting a positive image of UK citizens, rather than the ones that they see on television and in movies now. Most people in Europe, if they haven't met someone from the UK before, will assume that we either a lord or lady or a football hooligan. Those are the two, or a East End gangster. Those are the three, predominant abiding stereotypes of the British that exist. And it's all because of television and film and literature. Those are the images that the UK seem to be presenting. That's fine, but that's not who we are as a nation. It's a surprise to people when they come to the United Kingdom that we're very different, that we are, from that image that they have of us, we are very much the same as people around the world. We have slightly different customs and slightly different practices. We're offended by different things. The French don't like losing their job, and it's very difficult for a French employer to get rid of a bad staff member. The Spanish have a different way of organising their workday. They start late, they lunch for longer, and they work later, and they're up later. That's how they organise that. So there are differences. The Germans appear to be very organised and conscientious. Now that might be a stereotype that's false, but it's one that's been borne out by personal examples that I've witnessed. But these are stereotypes. These are how we view the world. So if you imagine that we have a very narrow view of Europe, they must have a very narrow view of us. And having people out in the world, out in Europe, confounding those stereotypes of us, that there are ordinary working Britons who are just as conscientious as the German stereotype, just as able to adapt as the Spanish, just as able to be passionate as the French or the Italians. Nearly missed that exit. So it would also impact on your holidays. You want to go to France or Italy, Germany, Spain, Greece. These places will suddenly require you to have a visa. That means you'll have to go to an embassy. You'll have to go to apply to get a visa, or you'll have to wait in a massive queue at the airport, as I did in Turkey. I went to Turkey for a week and a half. I had to pay €50 for a Turkish visa, which was a little sticker that went into my passport. When I went to Australia, I had to pay 50 New Zealand dollars for a visa to go from New Zealand to Australia. When I go anywhere in Europe, I have my British passport. I don't need anything else. I don't need a stamp. I don't need any of that nonsense. I don't need applications. I don't need to join queues. I just get off the aeroplane or the train, join the EU line, present my passport, boom, and I've got a biometric passport now. So I just push the biometric sheet from my passport into a machine. It takes a photograph of my face that's compared to my passport photo, and as long as they match, I'm in. It takes seconds. It shaves probably half an hour to 45 minutes off my time, the time it takes to exit the airport. It's genius. Would Britain save money? No. Okay, the UK's EU contribution, but to the EU budget's a drop in the ocean compared with the benefits of doing business with the EU. It might cost us individually a certain amount of money, but the benefits in terms of business, income, jobs, they're incalculable. Cannot be blinded by short-term. Oh, for fuck's sake! That has got to be fucking fixed. That's really starting to piss me off. You do not have right of way when you're exiting a motorway junction. You absolutely do not. Why the game has not fixed that already is beyond me. It's bollocks. It just makes me fucking angry. No one gets right of way when coming off a slip road. It's never happened. Nowhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. Whoa, what the hell are you doing? Nowhere in the world does a slip road guarantee you right of way. 22%. God, we really are screwing up this load. Oh, hello. I think that was an accident behind us. The benefits in terms of red tape with doing business with one single market, as opposed to having to deal with 22 or 25 different bureaucracies, is just I can't even imagine. Anybody that wants business to have an easier time should be arrested if they suggest that that doing business with individual nations would be would be better than dealing with one single bureaucracy. It doesn't matter how stupid you think that bureaucracy is, it benefits us. Now, yes, the EU needs to be reformed. Things need to be changed. We need to stop MEPs from taking ridiculous advantage of perks and benefits and financial incentives that they currently are capable of doing. I think there's one, I don't know whether it's a myth or whether it's actually true, that you get that as long as an MEP signs in, he gets funding for the day, and quite a lot of them turn up with their suitcases, sign in and go straight to the airport, so they get an extra day's income. Now, I think a lot of people need to wind their neck in about MPs' pay. It should be pointed out that an MP can be available 24 hours a day. So while people might complain about how much an MP makes, I can guarantee you wouldn't want an MP's or an MEP's hours. You really wouldn't. These guys cannot switch off. They have to have basic working knowledge of such an enormous variety of subjects: economics, domestic policy, foreign policy, defence interests. They have to be aware of trade agreements. They have to be very careful what they say, because every utterance is recorded and used against them. So they spend a lot of time reading and trying to inwardly ingest information that they then have to analyse, regurgitate, assess. It's not an easy job if done properly. It's an easy job if not done properly, but then if you're not doing it properly, you're not likely to last as an MP. It's very easy to see how mistakes can be made given the amount of information that they have to process. It's very easy to see how they could be so tempted by things that are not against the rules but are morally objectionable. Before I left the UK, there was a whole scandal in the UK about MPs' expenses, and some MPs were held up to public ridicule, quite rightly, for some of the things they were claiming for. There was quite a scandal about claiming for second homes. Now, if you're an MP that's, say, from Yorkshire, but you have to spend a lot of time in London, at the House, debating issues, particularly if you're a cabinet minister who also happens to have a constituency that's hundreds of miles away from Westminster, then you clearly have to have a place to stay in London. There were some MPs who have constituencies in central London that were buying second homes and having the public purse pay the mortgage on those pays towards the mortgage of those second homes, and that was obviously ridiculous. Some of these people were renting those second homes out and earning an income. Now let's just check. Yeah, no, we'll do it. We've got... Let's get some rest. I want to do the Okay, I ran out of space because I'd forgotten... Ooh, I know. I'd forgotten to take the footage off from the previous journey. Really? It's not going to let me. This is just annoying. This is just infuriating. Yeah, I know you're tired, buddy. I am too. Oh, are you kidding me? And do you know what? It won't let me do this, so stuff it. I can see the flag for my destination. If it's not going to let me sleep, it's not going to let me sleep. I cannot be bothered kicking around with the box. That's just not my style. So, our final destination is coming up. Less than an hour to get there. We've got over an hour before we have to sleep. So, let's get on the road. Ooh, yellow barriers. That's something new I've not seen. Right. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I can see the AI hasn't been completely fixed. They don't react to you quickly enough. Mind you, that was partly my fault. That was not a gap that I should have been going out into. Ooh, I knocked over the road sign. Did you see in the mirror? There's a little sign on the road, and I just completely flattened it. I'm going to have a spare in-game 15 minutes. Plus the usual little bit of extra time leeway that they give you. I don't think I'm going into Lorient itself. I think I'm going into a quarry, which is both good and bad. Let's just quickly look at the map. Ugh. Yeah, I'm going nowhere near Lorient. Alright, that's annoying. If I'd have known that, I might have persevered. Oh well, I'm going to end this journey. I'm going to end this journey without doing anything other than delivering the load. I'm not going to visit the city, not going to do anything. Given that it's a quarry, it means I can have a rest break before I go anywhere, which is fine because I'm not hiring drivers, which means that I don't want to get a couple of rest breaks after I've hired them, just to get them up and running while I'm asleep. Oh, you're kidding me. Well, I'm finishing this journey as I've conducted it like a complete idiot. I have driven this journey like a moron. I've also not finished talking about Europe, but it's, you know, it's too late. Journey's over. Yeah, I'm not going to skip. Why would I skip? Skipping is for losers. And I'm already enough of a loser. This is going to be possibly the worst report I've had post-journey. Here we go. Alright, handbrake on, engine off. Oh, let's relive this disaster in the stats. Reckless. That is my first ever reckless. Oh my goodness me. Wow. Wow. Well, I'm level 34 and I'm halfway through it, but I could have been considerably further in if I hadn't been quite so boneheadedly reckless. It wasn't that long a journey. I mean, it was 1,600 miles, 64 hours, 890.7 litres consumed. So, base reward, £46,625 and 2,577 XP. A level 33 proficiency bonus for £23,079, a long distance delivery bonus for skill rank 6 of £11,318 and 644 XP, a high value cargo bonus for skill rank 6 of £13,582 and 463 XP, an urgent delivery bonus for skill rank 5 of £6,790 and 515 XP, the parking bonus of 45 XP, which was a mere drop in the ocean. Damage penalty, 69%. Oh my god. We went from 22% to 69% with that crash with the two crashes. We crashed into the lorry at the roundabout and we crashed in the... that is by far and away our worst rating. By far. And yet we only lost £7,984, and upsettingly we lost 825 XP. 825 XP. That is 4 times as many XP lost as I've ever lost before, I think. So our total reward for the journey was 93,410, and frankly, if I was them, I would have taken all of that as well. And my XP reward was 3,419. It could have been over 4,000 XP. Easily, it could have been 4,200. But for my stupidity, recklessness, and dangerous driving. So, we are level 34. We're elite, well, in name only, based on that performance. So this profile has a lifetime XP of 130,250, and we are now aiming for level 35, and that has an XP target of 133,700. So we just have to get 3,500 XP. It's entirely possible that we can do that in the next journey. So this has probably been more entertaining than it has for you if you ignore my mind-numbingly boring conversation about European Union membership for the United Kingdom. I promise you I won't talk about that in the next video. But until I see you in that next video, please, I'll see you on the road.